Welcome to Taking It to the Next Level, a Minnesota Collegiate DECA podcast where we will discuss the world of DECA and talk to professionals about what makes someone successful in today's world. I am the president of Minnesota Collegiate DECA, Zach Spohn, and today I have the privilege of being joined by my whole team. Let's go around the circle and introduce everybody.
I am Madison McDonald, your Southern Regional Vice President.
I am Cale Hakowski, your Metro Region Vice President.
I'm Jackson Affel, your Vice President at Large.
I am Amy Barch, your Central Region Vice President.
And I am Jack Pine-Kappas, your Northern Region Vice President.
How about that? Look at that. All of us in the same place for the first time in, when was the last time we were all together? July.
It's so nice seeing everybody from here, or not here up, but here down.
Yeah, you can see your whole face, and no one's in just like a Zoom square all day whenever we see each other.
Absolutely.
Now we're not the same height.
That's true. That was a short joke in case you missed that. I'm short. That was the joke. But yeah, so it's great to see all of you. I mean, this is our last couple of weeks in office here, and it's only our third time together, but we're going to talk about that a little bit today, about what a unique year it's been and the challenges we've met and faced and how it's all gone. With that, we're going to get started. Our first topic today, we're going to talk about what our experiences have been like as state officers, and we could talk a little bit about how our experiences have been how our experiences in DECA have been in the past, and sort of contrast that, because obviously our experiences have been different, this year versus years past. Just to kick things off, JP, do you want to tell us a little bit about the year?
Well, to start, I mean, because we've only met in person just a couple of times and stuff like that,
Yeah.
we really haven't had too much time to really get to know one another. But that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because the times that we were able to be together, we were able to cherish that much more. We were able to interact with each other that much more, be more uplifting of one another, and just kind of be more excited to see each other and stuff, because it's been just seeing each other over camera and stuff like that, and it's really, really good to be able to see each other in person. So
Yeah, and I that's a little bit funny, because I feel like I do feel close to all of you and everyone, all the staff that have been here. I shouldn't say all the staff. There's like 3 staff members here because it's COVID, but they've all said, yeah, it's nice that you guys can finally be a team and see each other and everything like that. I'm like, we've been a team all year long. Like, obviously it's been different, but I feel like we're still close together, and I still consider all of us friends, even though that it's been such a unique year.
Yeah, because basically because we were in this environment that we were in, like, we were communicating in the group chat that we had a lot. We were sending messages, making sure that we were keeping in touch with everybody, which we probably wouldn't have done that if we were in person, because we would have seen each other more. So then we're like, I'll just maybe tell them, like, when I see them in 2 weeks.
Right, and it's another thing, like, all the communication that we've done. That's a good point. Every single conference, every single event, and everything in between, we've had to do differently because it is COVID, and that has made us have to communicate and solve problems together like a team. In that sense, it's why I think we have been so close and interconnected as well.
Yeah, and I feel like we also, because we never get to be together, we're more efficient when we are. Like,
For sure.
We get through stuff a lot faster than I thought we ever would, surprisingly, just because I didn't know how much I knew you guys until I saw you guys.
I know it is
yesterday.
It is weird. Like, I pulled into the parking lot yesterday. We're all at this location recording stuff for state. I pulled in, and it's like we're talking to old friends again once we all saw each other, which is unique because it's like the 3rd time we've ever all seen each other together. But we've
had countless Zooms.
We have had countless
Zoom
Zooms.
meetings.
More Zooms than I can count. That is for sure.
Yeah, like, speaking off of what you said, Madison, like, we are definitely, I feel like, a lot more efficient and effective with our time, because we all have such crazy, hectic schedules that whenever we do have time and it is dedicated towards DECA, we want to make the most of it, and we want to make an impact wherever we can, because that was really our goal as state officers, was to make an impact and to change DECA and just create a great experience for everyone.
Yeah, and going off of that, we wouldn't be doing this podcast today if we weren't efficient.
It's true.
That's for sure.
Was this an Amy idea? I think this was an Amy
Yeah,
idea.
it was. We were talking this past July when we met up for the first time after we got elected for our officer training, and we were talking about fun ways to stay connected with DECA, because that was during like the TikTok where TikTok might get banned or whatever.
Yeah, that was a blast.
And so
from
like
the
we were just
past.
thinking about it. I was just jokingly put it out there. I was like, "Hey, what if we do a podcast?" And they're just like, "Okay." And we just started running with it. But yeah, it was a really fun thing. We're hoping that the state officers next year will keep it up, or always come to us for advice. We are always here at your disposal. I know that's one big thing. So
For sure. And I think that as we've gone through this, we've learned a lot about ourselves and our capacity, I guess, just because every single conference, every single event, and anything we wanted to do in between, we had to do it differently this year than any other team in the past, and any other state or associations done it in the past. And that has really made us have to work together as a team. I mean,
It's brought us closer together because we're all figuring this out as we go by ourselves. Just,
yeah, I made
six of us. And
I made the joke earlier.
staff.
I was talking to Jennifer, the executive director, and I was like, we were talking about all the things we've done this year, and I made the joke. I'm like, yeah, we just kind of made it up as we went, which probably wasn't the most diplomatic thing to say at the time, but there's some truth to it, right? Like, each virtual conference, we were able to make what we want. We were able to make this podcast what we want, and our experience has been great because of that. Like, obviously, I wish we were having this conversation here, and then this audience here was filled with people in chairs. That's not the world we live in.
you know how cool would that be? Honestly, at state conference, how cool would that be to have all the officers like this, and then all of our DECA members out in the audience, and we're just having like a casual get together. They could ask us questions. I think that would be really cool.
I think
But
that would be a good thing for the beginning.
we have to talk to
Such
Jenny
a good
about that.
interactive.
Yeah, just like our first conference.
Well,
not,
next year's-
not our state. What is it called? I'm sorry, I'm bad with
Innovation.
Innovation.
Yeah,
That's it. It would be a good innovation starter, icebreaker.
And also too, I kind of am going back on what somebody else said, but like we had to adapt a lot. Like, we are the only state officer team so far to have all of our conferences, except the ones we got elected in, all of our conferences were virtual.
Yeah.
So
And that wasn't really our conference. We were like, it's elected, we're elected, okay, conference is over.
Yeah, let's go outside.
yeah, let's go outside. Let's go outside.
Go back to
That's
the
a
back.
blast from the past. If you know, you know.
We got elected end of February. Was it the
Middle of February.
middle of February? And a couple weeks later, we got an email and a text from our executive director, Jenny. She's like, so, how are we going to get together now? And we're just trying to figure out.
Yeah,
So we pushed it off. We pushed it off. We pushed it off.
That's exactly right. It's like we're pushing it off, and it's like,
July, we're like, we
Finally,
need
it
to
was
get
June,
done.
and we're like, okay, we need to figure something out.
it's like COVID is not going away. Like, we had done things by then. Like, we did like the innovation like summit thing.
All the preparation for like anything
Yeah,
we could do virtual.
Yeah, we did
really.
like all of our officer prep virtually and everything, and it got to like June, July, and it was like we figured it would be like no one expected this to be a year-long thing. Obviously, I don't have to tell anyone that's listening that. I mean, right? But as we kept pushing it back, it was like, okay, we just have to do this. Like, we have to make the best of this because this isn't going away.
We have to reconnect.
Yeah, you're right. And as all of us as leaders, our job that we signed up for as we're doing this was
Taking it to the next level.
take it to the next level. Yes, thank you, Kale. Buzz line, beep, we got it. But the thing is, like, as leaders, it's our responsibility to make the best out of any given situation and deliver the best possible experience to our members, no matter what. And by doing things like this, because of the resources that Minnesota Collegiate DECA allows to us, we're very fortunate to be able to do those sort of things as well.
Huge shout out to all the staff behind the scenes, Jeremy, who's helping us with this podcast.
Yeah,
We really
Jeremy.
appreciate everything that everybody's come together and helped us with. It's just made for such a great experience.
Yeah, especially with we had a lot of people who had to travel. Like, I know some people came from all the way up north, like 5 hours, 3 hours. So we just really appreciate everybody who came and took the time out of their very busy schedules to come down here. I didn't have that long of a drive, but I know everybody else did.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
the
all
outlier of the group,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
Well,
We're,
you're just lucky to be close to, basically in the same town as
am
Jenny.
I lucky?
You're very lucky.
yeah, we're all road warriors, and then Amy's like, yeah, I live like 5 blocks.
I could
away."
She
walk
could
here.
probably bike to her house.
Bike. Yeah, I could bike to my house if I so chose.
Hey, I tell you what, those snow-covered cornfields, those are a pretty nice view on the way here.
Yeah, there's nothing to see this drive. Anyways, let's get her back on track here. So let's go around the circle. We've talked a little bit about what the experience was like. Or actually, let's do this. We talked a little bit about what the experience was like for us this year. Let's maybe contrast that with some things that we've from our DECA experiences in the past. Because if you're a new member or you were new last year, you've experienced state conference last year, and that's it. You know, like that's like we're going on a year with doing this now. And the thing is, like, what do you take away from like a normal DECA year, a normal DECA conference? Does anyone want to take that?
Well, I guess I'm still the outlier of the group here, because this was my first year in DECA itself, actually. So, like, I had a normal state conference, but I didn't get to experience anything else in person, which is sad, but at the same time, too, like, I got to experience something new with everybody else, so I wasn't that different.
And I'm on the same boat as Amy. This was my first year, and so jumping into state in Alexandria was so fun. And then now everybody gets to try this new virtual DECA.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to have all of us members, officers, staff, all have one thing in common. It's all new.
But for me, in my personal experience in person, I would say feeling the energy is what drew me in.
Yeah.
Going into that room of all those people, and everybody is here for the same purpose. And it's not just to compete. Yes, everybody likes to compete, bring home that glass, you know. But it was the matter of everybody wanted to be here to better themselves and to learn and to just further themselves, not only as a person but as a leader. So that's what really drew me in, was just walking into that room, and it was dark and all these lights were going off and there was cool music. I'm just like, ooh, let's do this, y'all. But yeah, no, that was really fun.
Yeah, honestly though, like compared to like a normal year, because I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I've experienced like in-person conferences where we all get together, we have this huge hype session, we go to like all these keynote speakers, we do all these fun activities in person, but honestly, it's always been about networking, getting to know all the DECA members. Like obviously you compete and you can win all these medals, and I think the medals are really cool because it kind of reminds you of those moments like, hey, I met this person, I got to meet like this CEO, got to learn these cool experiences, you know, travel to new places. And honestly, that's what I took away from DECA mostly, was like just getting to meet a bunch of really cool people.
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of I'm in the same boat as Jackson, actually. So this is technically my second year, but I graduated in the springtime, so I'm graduated, actually. So this is my last year. But anyways, I believe that the virtual conference, it is a lot better than I ever imagined, because you guys get to listen to us and we get to tell you guys so much more than we could if we saw you face to face. And that's like the brightest thing about this experience. The one thing I could take away from this is, like, anyone could take away from this for your guys' teams, is that us as a team, we bonded because we did commitments over social media and made sure we would post stuff. So we were talking twice a week. So if you guys try to
At the minimum, twice
figure
a
out
week.
a way to communicate once a week at least. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be fun. Like, that's the best part, is the team. And that's how you get the hype virtually. You don't get it. I mean, you can get it from yourself. If you do, props to you. But it is from your team too. So if you get your team going, get that bond together, then you're gonna have that experience again.
Yeah, the energy and the hype of an in-person conference is with hundreds of people in the room is very difficult to replicate in a virtual environment, right? But the thing that I think that we've been able to do in this virtual world that we're all in now is hopefully we've been more accessible to all of our members, and we've delivered more things to them than we probably would have in the past.
Yeah, because when we were doing like our officer agenda and those first few Zoom meetings with Jenny, like one of our goals that we wanted was to be more accessible to all of our DECA members. So, and I don't even think during that time, like, yeah, I think that COVID was a little bit of a thing, but like we didn't know it'd be this much.
Right.
But I think that we accomplished that goal. Like we made ourselves more accessible. We opened up a lot more, made ourselves a lot more personal, and yeah.
Well, and to kind of piggyback off of that a little bit is one of the big things that that DECA relates to is innovation, and what it comes to when you're dealing with creative problem solving and stuff like that. And we had to do that this year, from transferring it to in-person activities and stuff. How do we go about delivering these same events online? How do we do this virtually and stuff? And so it really kind of ties back to those factors of DECA, where you as an individual are trying to come up with different ways to go about delivering the same service, to try to create the same experience and stuff. So.
Yeah, so that's what our experience and this year and past has kind of been like. One thing I want to go around the circle now, as by the time you all are listening to this, we'll be pumpkins. We won't be in office anymore. So this will come out after this.
This is our outro right here. This is our goodbyes.
This is our last act. This is our last act as officers. This will come out the Wednesday after the state conference, and that'll be that. So I want to go around the circle, and I want everyone to go around the circle. It sounds like we're at camp. Anyways.
Well, I mean, we're not even in a circle. We're in a horseshoe, so.
Let's listen to Geometry Amy over here.
It's a watermelon slice, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go around and say one thing we learned this year, whether it's about this organization, ourself, or anything else that you really learned this year and your time as a state officer. I'll start, and then whoever goes after that can go after that. One thing that I've really learned about myself, I think, is my sort of willingness to persevere, because this year, obviously, it's very easy to shut off, right? It's very easy to like, okay, this year's a wash, let's not do it. I mean, that's and honestly, I understand why a lot of people, that was their attitude, because I mean, this year is not what anyone wanted. It wasn't certainly what we signed up for, but I think we made the best out of it. But I've learned that as leaders, I felt the responsibility to make the best of it. And I know that the rest of us did too. And I learned that about myself, that I'd be willing to shoulder that, I guess.
So for me, it was accountability, because it's very easy to fall behind when everything is online. You can keep pushing things off. And so having teammates and state officers and everybody else in DECA is just like, hey, like you said you're going to do this, you need to get it done this time, no excuses. Well, I mean, if you had a very good reason, I guess it was okay, but but other than that, like everybody held each other accountable, which is a great thing, because when you're out in the real world, I want to say, like, you don't get a lot of second chances. So yeah, it was a big thing about that. And also too, it was about communication. Communication is always key. You always need to be a good communicator. And I think that we all were really great about that this year, so.
I agree. Communication was a huge factor that kind of came into what we had to do this year. And like Madison said earlier, talking about our keeping in touch every single week and stuff like that. I feel like we actually probably kept more in touch than maybe previous years' officers, just because we were more in a virtual setting, and so we were already used to the social distance communications. We were able to do that on a more regular basis and stuff. And then to kind of go along with accountability too, a big factor of it for me has actually been motivation, to be able to continue to push myself to not just kind of, be a loose end or kind of just give up and stuff. And so I definitely have learned a lot about that as well. So.
I think one of my biggest thing was I always liked a structured schedule. And with COVID,
What structured schedule?
with COVID, with everything being either canceled or just done differently, I've learned to just adapt. And that is
Don't you mean pivot?
pivot. You're going to hear pivot a lot in the state
That's
conference. But it just being able to pivot and be like, okay, it's not going to be like this, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's not something to worry about. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely taught us flexibility this past year with schedules and Zoom meetings and everything else.
And just expectations, and I mean, I laugh at I don't laugh at, but I make fun of the pivot thing because everyone says it all the time now because everyone has had to do that. But it's true. There's a reason everyone's saying it. The successful people, the successful companies, successful organizations have been able to pivot in this pandemic year and do things differently, and we're doing things like this, and that's why I think that our year has been unique and a success in that way as well.
So going back to the question, which was,
What'd you learn?
what did I learn or do? I believe I learned my voice, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you heard my speech last year, that was put on the spot because I was last minute.
I think a lot of our speeches were on the spot, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Zach's
I
was
was
the only prepared one, I think.
I was quiet.
Look at Mr.
I
President.
didn't broaden my shoulders like I do now. I definitely talk out, speak out, share ideas more, and
Yeah.
make sure everyone's like on point and with it. So
This roles that we're in, it certainly brings you out of your shell. Would all of you agree? I mean,
110%.
like, Jackson wouldn't even talk to me like the first couple of days, and then
So that's not true at all. Just a disclaimer, that is untrue.
Jackson has always been loud.
I am the one that's always up in your face trying to talk, and you're trying
That's
to shoo
true.
me away
That's
like a
true.
fly.
I don't know. When we at our state conference, when we first, signed up, you were kind of, turtled down, kind of hidden.
Definitely.
I mean,
New to
you
DECA, that was the
definitely were.
biggest thing. But I was not like, you
I
wouldn't
think-
come up to me and I'd be like, oh, I'm like, I'd be fine. It's just,
We all have opened up.
Well, yeah, I'd say we
Definitely.
all really opened up at our first officer training over the summer when we got to really get in person and spend the whole day together. So
yeah, and that's why I'd encourage anyone to run for state office themselves, just because our year is obviously very unique, but I think normally this leadership role teaches you things about yourself that you probably didn't know or what you're capable of, and it definitely makes you feel like you can do more things. I guess that's very plainly put, but you learn how to speak with others. You come out of your shell. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to work in a team, and that's really, I think this group really exemplifies that without a doubt.
Well, and speaking about like becoming state officers as well, and the benefits of it, like you also get to connect, I'm guessing, with a ton of influential people as a state officer, going to different conventions like innovation and all these other things. You can connect with a lot of people, and even as a regular DECA member, you have that opportunity. But as a state officer, you are almost like thrown into
You're
that
out there.
opportunity.
You're in it.
That and like with the podcast that we're doing, you guys interviewed how many people?
It was like 9, 10.
If it weren't for that, I mean, you probably would just meet them at conventions, like you said. But that's going the extra mile. That's asking questions that you wouldn't be able to for as much, at least.
Yeah. I believe this is episode 14 or 15, and I mean that's probably 14, probably not quite 14 hours of just recording, talking, and asking questions and interviewing. I mean, that's a skill that I think is invaluable. I mean, it's not something certainly any of us thought we were going to learn this year.
Zach, you could almost go do a TED Talk. You're just so good right now at just going with the flow.
What is this? This guy's like buttering me up right now.
I'm
Like,
ready for
what
a TED
for? We're
Talk.
done in a week, man. Like, you don't got. I'm kidding. But yeah, I think that this certainly was a unique experience, and I think that even though it wasn't the year we expected, we all took something out of it that certainly benefit us in the future, and that's the case no matter who you are, what year you're in as a state officer as well. So putting yourself in leadership roles like
I think
this
Kale
really,
needs to go yet too with what he's learned.
I was gonna say, just for DECA in general, it kind of applies to all. You know, like you get out what you put in,
yeah,
and you don't even have to be in a state officer role. State officer role, you know, you gain it a lot quicker, you gain a lot more. You're kind of thrown into it, like you said, but just joining DECA and getting people to join, you get that communication skill, you get, you know, the presentation skill, you get the networking, and you just get a lot out of DECA that I thought I never was going to.
mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. This organization teaches you a lot about yourself, and I think that being in those leadership roles puts that on times 3, times 4, times 5. I mean,
And even if you don't think that being in a leadership role is for you, I do encourage you to just try it, because it can be, you know, it can give some anxiety, but I mean, in the end, you pull through it and you look back and you change. You mature through everything, in business to friendships. It really is just great.
Well, and I kind of remember, like, in your speech that you were giving to become state officer, you're just like,
yeah, she's already
yeah,
laughing
I
at
didn't know what DECA was. James
No.
just told me to apply, so I did.
I was launched into this, but I'm so glad that I did. James was like, "This is going to be so much fun." James is my advisor at Minnesota State College Southeast. He was like, "This will be so much fun." I'm like, "Okay, thanks,
was.
James."
Not to
And-
mention, James is the reason why you, Kale, and I are state officers this year. We 3 go to the same school. James is our 3 advisor, and he pushed us into it. Not that we're thanking him. Thank you, James, for
Thank
all
you,
that
James.
you do. This is not scripted. We're fine.
Actually, I think one of the biggest people that actually got me to officially say, okay, I'm all in, I'm going to sign up to be an officer, is Chet.
Yeah, definitely.
I was, because like James like
who
told
is
me,
Chet for those of you that
Chet Morgan was our state officer president of last year.
Yep.
And so when we had this day at the Capitol where we would go and we talked to like all the representatives and stuff about DECA and just a bunch of different things, and kind of meet our legislative branches. But James told me that I should do it, I should sign up, and I was kind of like, I don't know. It sounds like a pretty big time commitment, and just sounds like a bunch of stuff that I don't know. I didn't really feel like was something I really wanted to do. And so I kept it in the back of my mind, and then I talked to Chet, and I was like, okay, like, what is this actually entitled? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to get out of it? And the more I talked to him about it, the more I realized that it was a really great opportunity and that I should take it. I mean, I signed up last minute, like literally last minute during the conference, the beginning of the conference, and honestly, I'm glad I did. I learned a lot of really cool skills.
Yeah.
And we all can't forget your wonderful speech.
He's got nothing to say. Oh, and like, I mean, I've beaten a dead horse at this point, but the skills you learn by doing this are amazing. I mean, I remember being told right when we got elected, I forget who told us this. Some staff member told us, like, this experience you're gonna make lifelong friends, and it's gonna change the trajectory of your life. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
calm down. Let's calm down. Like, what do we do? Like, relax. But I mean, even though we met 3 times, I feel like I know all of you very well, and we've gotten through all this together, worked as a team together, and that I wish I could remember what staff member
I
told
think
me.
it was Jenny.
It was Jenny.
I think
Okay.
it was Jenny.
I think it was Jenny.
Any good quotes probably came from Jenny.
Yeah, okay.
So,
It was probably Jenny.
And if you don't know Jenny, Jenny's our executive director for DECA. But yeah, like going off what you said, Zach, like it's not just skills. Like we make a lot of good memories. I mean, I'm not going to say out of all the times we've met because we've only met 3 times. But literally out of all the times we've met, I can say that 100%. Even over the Zoom meetings, like one thing is we always laugh. Like I mean, they probably don't find me funny, but like we
The confidence.
She roasts herself, and we all laugh.
This is why we laugh, because we all throw ourselves under the bus.
Yeah.
We do not roast anyone but ourselves.
I mean, we all have such a great time with each other. We're always smiling, always laughing. But when it also comes down to it, we also know when we need to get the work done. And we're all willing to pitch in the work, which is also great. But we make a lot of great memories. I'm going to miss y'all. I'm not going to start crying.
I was like,
Yeah, there was a great
like,
team. I mean, to be honest, this was an invaluable experience. Watch me butcher that word.
100%.
No, yeah, this was a wonderful experience. Like, even with the virtual setting, like, I still had a fantastic time being able to be a state officer with you guys. So,
yeah, and the experience wasn't what we expected, but I said it before. It was still great.
I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I really think that this was just meant to be done this year. It was just done so easy and clean, and just it was great.
It was meant to be done with us. We were
That's
the team
right.
to do this.
I mean, standing in front of a big
Kale's
place,
like,
and
actually,
standing in front of that big arena, with a lot of people hyped up,
it
would have been pretty cool.
Would have been cool.
But it was
Can you
fun.
imagine, like, the energy of just all of us on stage? Like,
All right,
oh.
now you're gonna make me cry for another reason, Amy.
You know what they say? Deck of Minnesota. It's better than Wisconsin.
That's what they say.
It's being better than that. Going outside.
100%.
If you know, you know. Anyways, let's get back on the rails here. So DECA Inc. has recently announced that ICDC will be held virtually, unfortunately, this year. It is being held middle of April. Dates yet to be released, but it will be multiple day experience. You're still going to have your competitive events, still going to have your normal sessions. You're going to have your opening and closing sessions. And once again, I know their officer team, the national officer team, I should say, will hit it out of the park and it'll make it a great experience for everyone. I believe I have been, I don't believe, I know I have been to ICDC. I believe JP has also been to ICDC.
Yep.
JP, maybe you can talk a little bit about your ICDC experience as of 2 years ago now, and what that was like, and what members maybe have to look forward to next year if we ever are in a world where COVID ceases to exist. Fingers crossed that that's sooner rather than later. But anyways.
Yeah, so I attended ICDC 2 years ago. It was actually my first year in DECA, and I was originally recruited by the president at that time. He's a great guy. But he really encouraged me to kind of push myself and go all the way, and so I ended up going to ICDC, and it was a wonderful experience to be able to meet in person and stuff, because this was all pre-COVID, of course. To be able to meet in person and to be able to just see everyone from all over the country interact with each other and want to achieve the same thing, want to network, want to communicate with each other, want to learn from each other and learn from the business professionals that were there at the same time. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to see everyone smile and to be able to attend the roundtables that they had at the events and stuff, and just to be able to just be there. It was wonderful. It really was. It was sad to see that we didn't get to attend Atlanta last year, but we do have ICDC this year, and even though it's in a virtual setting, I'm pretty sure they're going to knock it out of the park too. So.
They're going to do so good. I know they are. I have high confidence in all of them.
Yeah. So that's ICDC, and JP touched on a little bit. I'm going to go around the group here and give last thoughts, sign off for a final time, but I'm going to give my final spiel, and then I'll hand it off to you guys. People always ask me, what makes you, or like, why are you in DECA? What is this all about? Why do you keep doing it? I'm a junior in college now. My first year when I got involved in DECA, I was a sophomore in high school. So that's scary to think what I was like as a sophomore in high school. But anyways, I always come back and I always want to stay involved, because the experiences, yes, are one thing, but what make those experiences great are the people you meet along the way. All of you staff here that makes our lives easy and amazing, and they do so much for us. The people that you meet in DECA are some of the best friends I've made in my life, and the rest, and the people you also meet are the sort of people you want to surround yourself with to be successful. And that's why I always keep coming back to this, and why I think I will always be a part of this organization. So those are my final thoughts. Anyone else? Final thoughts before we sign off one last time.
Not so much a final thought, but I think that we should take this moment to like thank everybody.
Yes. Yes.
We want to thank everybody who had won a part in setting this up for us, that way we could be here together for the last time. But also to anybody who was a director, our advisors. I know I want to thank Liz and Chef Bratton for kind of pushing me and throwing me into this role as well, much like James threw you into applying. They basically were like, hey, you're going to apply. I was like, all right, sounds good. But yeah, we just like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank Jenny Clausen, or Jenny Strauss Clausen, for being such a great leader and helping us through our difficult schedules and being very flexible. I know it wasn't easy, Jenny, but we really appreciate you. I know you took a lot of time and you deeply care about us, so yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on, I'd like to thank Kate Rice, too. She's behind the scenes doing everything to help make everything go so smooth. Jacob Ward is he was our officer coordinator. Just such a good guy. Just such a good guy.
The best.
The master of woo.
So huge thanks to him. James was helping the judge coordinator. Thank you, guys. Chris, who came in to take pictures for us. Thank you so much. John came in for the keynote. Thank you. It was a really good time for everybody, I think. And
any other final words from anyone? Doesn't have to be thank yous. Last thoughts?
I'm going to miss you guys.
It's gonna be weird not having this
I know.
responsibility
not
anymore.
having it in the background.
Not being in this same exact setting where we're talking to like CEOs on like a personal level, like John today, when we're just kind of talking about like, oh yeah, how's golf?
Yeah, right. It's weird.
Definitely watch the opening session.
If you
on
haven't
YouTube.
already.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird not being in DECA. Not gonna lie. Not being in school either, cause like.
Yeah, you're leaving school for the real world.
I already left the real world.
That's
I got
right. Yeah, you're gonna get a
full-time
job and everything. Goodness.
I don't know what to do after this, to be honest. So if you're out there, good luck. If you're like me, I'm sorry.
And also, too, I mentioned this before, but if any DECA member, I hope DECA members are seeing this, but if any DECA members or future state officers want to reach out to us, contact Jenny. You will know who she is. Or just contact us in general. I'm sure we have our social media out there somewhere, some form of connecting us. I'm sure. I know for me, I will always answer and I will always help out or give advice if you ever need it. I love doing that, and I'm sure the other officers will do the same because we just want the best for you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. We really I'm not going to say we feed off of you because we haven't unfortunately seen you guys in person, but we're doing this because of you. We're doing it because we care. So that's a really big thing.
All right.
Like I always said, give back to the community.
Go pick some pumpkins.
All right. That's that. I want to extend one big final thank you on behalf of all of us to DECA staff, advisors as well, and of course all the members that elected us and that we have had the privilege to serve for the last year. It's been certainly a unique experience for all of us, but it's been very rewarding as well to have this opportunity to do this for you guys. With that, one final time for JP, Amy, Jackson, Kale, and Madison, I'm State President Zach Spohn. Thank you for watching. All of our episodes have taken you to the next level. Minnesota Collegiate DECA Podcast. We'll see you around. Thank you.
Bye.